Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you for your patience. I violated my own rule, and we're start meeting a little late here, so mark against me. Going to ask Mr. Ward to lead us in our prayer, and then Mr. Brown will lead us in our pledge. Please stand.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you once again for this day that you have given. We thank you for life, health, and strength. And Father, at this time, we do pause and ask you to be upon our meeting. And dear God, as you give us guidance, dear God, that we'll govern ourselves according to do things that which you will be pleasing in your eyesight. Father, we ask you to bless this meeting. In your Son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Chairman, if I may, there's an item that that's been requested to be pulled from the agenda tonight.
Yes, sir.
And it's item number 3. I talked to Mr. Don Hall today, and he said that he would be willing to postpone this till another date in August if we would like to do that. And I told him that sounded good to me. One less item tonight would be a big help. So he has requested to actually have this postponed until either the first or second meeting in August, and he said he would get up with Ms. Pridgeon and make that happen.
Everyone all right with that? No. All right, we will postpone that item to one of our August meetings, work it out with Linda there. Under public information, the first item is something that I know myself and Mr. Ward might have a little bit more pride in, but we all have pride in it. That's a recognition of student athletes, Topsail High School baseball team. And I'm going to ask Mr. Ward if he would help me. Help me pass out some of these. Maybe read the plaque for me up here. I'm going to ask the players and coaches if you'd like to come up, if you would. Yes, when Mr. Ward and I attended Topsail, there was running water and electricity there too. Hadn't been that long ago. Mr. Ward, will you please read the plaque?
This plaque will say special recognition to the award to the Topsail High School baseball team, 3A baseball state champions, 5 County Stadium, Zebulon, North Carolina. That's June 7th, 2014. Let's give them a hand for that.
What I understand, I know we have some players playing Legion ball and folks doing other things, seniors getting ready for college and all types. So I'm sure some of them couldn't be here, but we'll make sure that the principal make sure we get everyone's certificate to them. And this says special recognition for outstanding athletic achievement is awarded to, and we're going to call each player for this, and assigned by myself and interim manager Watson. Isaac Beach. Congratulations. Kyle Giddens. Andrew Bishop. Make sure we get this to him, please. Trader Flora. Sam Hall. Chase Thompson. Sam Luchansky. Congratulations. Danny Wilson. Colin Butte. Am I saying that correctly? Help me out. Did I say it right? Okay. Thank you. Jake McDowell. Congratulations. Clark Coda. Austin Baird. Austin Rodriguez. Trent Hansford. Bryce Coda. Chase Riker. Ken Campen. Cameron Kimray. Mason Byrne. Big team. Granville Garris.
So that means tell me all of y'all got good grades to be over here. That's good. That's a good thing.
Chris Blake.
Well, now, them two gentlemen look older to play baseball. Who was that?
We're not checking birth certificates.
I don't want to be cheating now. We want to make sure.
Captain Scott Coda. I can see the investigation being launched now. Jordan Reisman. Mike Wortman. Now I am feeling old. John White. Brandon Johnson. This is your 2014 state championship. Would you like to say anything? Coach staff?
I think the coaches, that would be good.
Good to see you.
Gary, any comments?
Coach, please come up if you'd like. I know you want to talk about this team, so come on up, talk about it. Yes, sir.
Well, this was a very special group of boys. We started working for this in August. Kids worked extremely hard. We started off 0-4 in our conference. They never gave up. They competed. They were 3A champs, and we got hot at the right time, won 8 games in a row, and that's what it took to win the state title. And extremely proud of them and the character they showed throughout the year. And we're just extremely proud to represent Pender County, and we really appreciate all the support we've gotten all year from everybody from all parts of the county, the well wishes that came from the Trask District, the Pender District, Surf City. We just feel the appreciation, and we're glad to be here representing Pender County and bringing a championship back to this part of the state. Thank you very much.
Mr. Williams, can I add a comment here?
Yes, sir. Please do.
You know, I just wanted to say that gentlemen, I live on the western part of the county, but the night that you won this wonderful accomplishment for our county and representing your athletic program, I got so many calls about how excited folks all over the county was that evening about your winning as our champions at the state level. So that's to really be commended. And I think we have a wonderful baseball coach I've heard about, and Mr. Simmons, who I've just learned to admire his leadership. And you've proven that leadership because this young man here, Chris Blake, I worked with up until last year up at the early college program. It was a great loss for us, but a tremendous asset for Pender County. He's one that demonstrates leadership and shows that every day. Students are very proud to have someone like Chris helping to lead you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. I'm sending you one next school year, Mr. Simmons. Now time is going by fast. Item number 2, Board Chairwoman Bernadette Sillavance, and I think Ms. Ruth Glazier going to give us an update on Pender Memorial Hospital. Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for the opportunity for us to be here today. As you know, Pender Memorial Hospital has gone through some major changes in the past year, not only physically, but also in the services that are provided by assessing all the county needs. And it's these services that we really want to bring to the forefront today and let you know. So when you go back to your districts and all your constituents, that you let them know that there's a lot of services that you can receive at Pender Memorial Hospital. Thank you.
Thank you.
I too want to say thanks for allowing me the opportunity to come and present. For those of you that I've not met yet, my name is Ruth Glazier, and I'm the president of Pender Memorial Hospital. I've been here for almost 4 years. I want to thank a couple of my board members, Mr. Tate and Mr. Williams, for your service on our board, as well as Ms. Bernadette Sillavance, who you appointed to our board a couple of years ago, and she serves as our board chairman today. I'm going to take about 10 minutes and just tell you a little bit about what we've been up to, and then I've got a packet of information that I'll leave behind for you so that you can review it at your leisure. We're loaded here somewhere. There we go. Just not patient enough here. So again, I'm going to spend a little bit of time just reviewing some of the changes that we've made over the last couple of years. As you may recall, you probably heard, you probably saw in the newspaper, we underwent a fundraising campaign a couple of years ago to raise money to put this piece of equipment in our emergency department. This is a CT scanner. We had a CT scanner. It was outside of the emergency department, and what we did in this project was we upgraded that scanner and moved it into the emergency department. It is a 16 slice scanner, which means it takes 16 pictures of somebody every time the wheel rotates. It produces much faster images. It increases the throughput of patients, makes their treatment quicker. It takes prettier pictures, so better, easily diagnosable. And again, it's in the emergency department, so it's close by where patients who are not well are being treated. So right there where staff can be close to them. And I'll just remind you that the neat thing about the affiliation with New Hanover Regional Medical Center is a lot of the hospital-based services, like radiology, are the same providers that provide care to both of the campuses in Wilmington. So Delaney Radiology reads our CT scans. We did raise, a few years ago, the hospital undertook a fundraising campaign for the operating room. That was prior to my arrival here. And then we set out to do this project. Together with the community, a lot of local agencies, grants, and individual contributions, we raised a little over $500,000 in this community to do these renovations. So made some significant improvements. And a lot of what you'll see is when you walk into the hospital, we've made some improvements so that the environment is much more comfortable. You'll see up top there is our outpatient waiting room in the main lobby, and below is in the radiology department. The emergency department waiting room looks very similar. Another thing that we've set out to do is to increase the number of volunteers. And the goal being that we have 50 active volunteers. Today we have 16 adult volunteers, and actually we just kicked off a junior volunteer program last week. We have 10 junior volunteers ranging from 14 years of age and to 18, rotating through the hospital and providing some volunteer services. I like to think it's our future healthcare workers right there getting trained locally in our community. Between our adult volunteers and our juniors, they contribute hundreds of hours to our hospital. And just, you know, it's a breath of fresh air when you walk through the doors and you see these folks in their uniforms smiling, and obviously they're volunteering there, so they're happy to be there. A couple of other things that we did was we added a gift shop. You'll see in the top picture there what we're calling the gift depot. It's sort of modeled after the Brigade train depot. It looks about very similar to that train depot right there in our lobby. So a neat new addition. Again, a place of comfort when somebody's waiting to be able to go and browse and take their mind off of a family member being in surgery or testing or whatever the case may be. And then the volunteers also do some fundraising and special sales. This is the Genoa Williams Chapel. This chapel was named after Miss Genoa Williams, who was a nurse in our facility. She worked prior to my arrival, but I've heard wonderful stories about the care that she gave to our community and to our hospital. We renovated the chapel, made it larger. We painted a new picture of Miss Williams, added a stained glass door right there in the lobby, and increased the size so that more visitors can come in. It's more wheelchair accessible. It's a beautiful place of comfort right there off the lobby. As we went to undertake this project, I got asked by a number of people, why didn't we have pictures of these two physicians on our walls? And these are individuals who were here prior to me. So again, I've heard some wonderful stories about Dr. Peden and Dr. Dees. But we did commission two artists and had portraits of them painted and hung on the Physician Wall of Honor in the main lobby. For those of you that have been by, it's a wonderful addition. We've just recently added the plaques below them. And oftentimes in a small hospital, in a small community, you'll find community members wandering by and telling stories about when these physicians delivered them or delivered somebody in their family. So it's really been a neat addition to the organization. So we've added some new services, as Bernadette shared with you. Our goal is to, as you continue to work to grow the county, and we do appreciate that we provide services that you're proud of and services that are needed, so the residents of our community and of our county don't necessarily have to travel unless they need to. So we've added urological surgery, podiatric surgery, we've added a sleep lab. NHRMC Home Care is a part of Pender Memorial Hospital. They've done some telehealth, so they're connected with patients in their homes to try to keep them out of the hospital. We've added Holter monitor services, digital mammography, and DEXA scan, or bone density tests. So these are just in the last few years, new additions to the hospital.
Can you elaborate on that sleep lab? That's not familiar with that. What would that be?
So many times an individual might have problems with sleep called sleep apnea, where they actually will stop breathing during the night because of the way they're breathing or how their physical self, and so they'll come in and spend the night in the hospital and actually get hooked up to a bunch of equipment so they can diagnose whether indeed they do have sleep apnea and provide a prescription for equipment to help fix that sleep apnea. It's pretty detrimental to an individual if you've got sleep apnea. It can affect your heart, so it's something to be taken very seriously. And again, prior to this, you had to drive to Wilmington, and if you can imagine packing up all your stuff and driving to Wilmington just to spend the night and get tested, it's nice to have that closer to home. Does that help?
Oh yeah, it is.
So the other nice thing, again, with the affiliation with New Hanover is the addition of new physicians and new surgeons. A lot of these folks are specialists you see here, and I don't have pictures of every one of them, but we're adding additional general surgeons. You see the 3 across the top are a part of the AHEC, the faculty practice plan at New Hanover, and they're coming up and seeing patients and doing procedures in our organization. We've added urological surgery. Dr. Zimmerman in the bottom middle is the urologist who's coming up and doing cases. Pediatric surgery, Dr. Martin to the right, and then gastroenterology, Dr. Kittinger, bottom left, has been coming for a couple of years. And then anesthesiology, we've added MD or physician anesthesiology coverage at the hospital as well. So some great things, again, for services that we're able to provide close to home. And then obviously we have the link back to the medical center should you need additional or further care, follow-up care. So the hospital's undergone a lot of changes, a lot of physical changes, but I like to think, again, a lot of this could not be possible if it weren't for the people. You saw the physicians that we've added. I'm going to take a minute to brag on the emergency department and the leader of our emergency department. Most of us, if you go to Pender Memorial, you're going to be going for some sort of diagnostic, whether it's a mammogram or an x-ray or whatever the case may be. I hope you never have to travel to our emergency department, but because nobody wants to go to an emergency department. Obviously, it's the place you'd rather not go. But rest assured, if you have to come to our hospital, our nursing staff, our clinical staff, and the physicians are of the same caliber and the same training as they have at New Hanover. All of our staff are ACLS and PALS certified, which means they can take care of advanced life support issues for both adults and peds. The nurses are trauma nurse certified. We've implemented some of the same stroke and STEMI protocols or heart attack protocols that exist at New Hanover. So again, the same kind of care you're going to get at New Hanover you would get at Pender. Obviously, we don't do things like open heart surgery, so patients would have to be transferred, but we're going to get you and we're going to get you stabilized and shipped on, and that's a nice piece. You see in the bottom there, the simulation lab. This is something that the Alliance provides where we practice on low volume, high risk procedures. And one of the things we've done recently with EMS is actually done that jointly with the local EMS department. Both, we've attended some of their ACLS and PALS training, and they've participated in some of these simulation labs. And again, the same group of physicians that cover both of the campuses in Wilmington cover our emergency department as well. Sharon Becker is our nurse manager. New Hanover hands out a Leader of Excellence about 3 times a year. They've been doing that for the last 10 years. Sharon's been the emergency department manager for almost 4 years now and is the first Pender Memorial Hospital recipient of that Leader of Excellence at New Hanover. So we're pretty proud of her and what she's done for our hospital. So what's next? Again, our goal is to continue to focus on growth and service and quality to meet the growing needs of this county. We're adding additional specialists, dental surgery and telepsychiatry in the emergency department are just 2 of them that are coming soon. We'll continue to make facility improvements both in how the facility looks and the equipment that we have. And we'll continue to collaborate. We've have some great partners in this community with EMS leadership and the health department leadership. They've been great friends of the hospital, and we appreciate that very much, and that effort will continue as well. So I've been quick. I know you have a busy agenda, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. Or I did not mention that Ed Awley, our Chief Financial Officer and the person I report to from New Hanover, is here as well.
You raise your hand, Ed. Does any commissioner have any questions or comments they'd like to add?
I'd like to say, I've been about the hospital, really impressed with the emergency facility over there now, and I think it's second to none around this area. And I really,
Thank you.
I'm proud of the hospital.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Stay.
Ms. Glazier, didn't your, the hospital recently went through an accreditation visit as well under your leadership, and did very, very well, I believe, and you were also making modifications to the lab as well, is that correct?
Yeah, yes. We've been surveyed by a number of agencies. Most hospitals, or all hospitals, are really highly regulated. And we've had visitors to our skilled nursing facility. Our sleep lab underwent a survey, our laboratory, our home health agency, all in the last probably 4 or 5 months. And you never come out of those absolutely perfect, but we are very proud of staff and what they've accomplished. They went well. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. You have a lot of people from Duplin County come to this hospital too, I said, around
Yes.
Boston and all. Because it's closer here it is to their hospital.
Right. It's about equidistant, and you know, again, I think I like to think they seek us out, but we also know that if they need further care, they really want to be in Wilmington at New Hanover. That's got programs that are second to none in the nation. So a lot of times that's what they'll come to us, and you know, on their way to New Hanover as well.
I'd just like to add, I'm very pleased with the direction that the hospital is going, and Mr. Rivenbark before me, who sat on that board for so long and advocated the partnership that we have with New Hanover. It has been a very good relationship, and I'm personally pleased, and I hope that the citizens are as well.
Again, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. We covered item 3 earlier. We're going to put that off until August, so we go to item 4. Ms. Mosier, Health and Human Services Director, going to talk about a recent acknowledgement award. That's the Most Improved Local Health Department. Ms. Mosier.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is one of those pleasurable times to be up here because it gives me an opportunity to brag about health department staff. But the state communicable disease annual conference was held in Wilmington back of this, and unbeknownst to us, our local state consultant had nominated the health department for a Most Improved Extra Effort Award. So I wanted to congratulate our staff and to let you know what great work they're doing, but I wanted to read part of her nomination to you. She was nice enough to send it to us, and like I said, it kind of caught us off guard, and it was just made that even nicer to know that people are looking at our great efforts. Having been the technical assistance and training program nurse consultant for 3 years, I've observed wonderful changes in Pender County Health Department's communicable disease program. Timeliness of disease investigation and reporting has improved exponentially. Policies and procedures have been written or revised since their original publication in 2011. We're scheduling regular EPI team meetings, of which we have several individuals in different departments as well as the hospital that attend those. The position of nurse supervisor was created, and the nurse was hired for a position that works closely with our Director of Nursing, Shirley Steele, but she also helps with our communicable disease, STD, TB nurse, and it makes for a much more productive program. The Health Department executed a quality improvement project which has resulted in a reduction in wait time of 20 minutes for all clinic patients. And the Health Department has had major renovations and adopted a new clinical staffing model. The Health Department has also successfully implemented its electronic health record system. And as I say and mention that last one, I do have to thank County Commissioners and our Board of Health for allowing us to be on the front end of converting from paper records to paperless electronic system now, and we've been doing that for about a year, and it's really gone extremely well. But I just wanted to share with you a very nice plaque that we received, and we'll display it with great pride at the Health Department.
Anybody have any comments or questions? Ms. Moser?
I just want to say I'm really proud of Ms. Moser. She does a really good job for this county.
Thank you.
And I've said that before, and I'm saying it again. She does an outstanding job.
I would just like to say I agree with the Commissioner. We've come a long way in that health department in the last few years, and folks, a lot of people may not realize that this is special. This is great, and this speaks a lot for that health department. And I was one of its largest critics before, and I'm one of its strongest proponents now. So thanks for all you've done.
Thank you.
And I took my first tour there a few weeks ago in a while, so I was impressed with a lot of it. I knew, I voted on and know a lot of things that were going on over there, but I had not walked the halls in a while, so thank you for the tour.
Thanks, y'all.
Next item on our agenda is update on submitted Pender County transportation project for the state prioritization 3.0. My name's on there, as is Mr. Brewer. Mr. Brewer's going to take on a little bit more of the technical end of things, but I think we're all aware that the road infrastructure in North Carolina, there's way more projects that need to be done, way more identified projects and projects that are being studied than there are funds to pay for them or funds identified to pay for them in my lifetime, probably. We are at what I feel is a huge crossroads. One of the things that came to realization on, we've been moving along with the Hampstead bypass. Environmental study, if I'm calling this the right document, is almost complete. Well, the way things came out ranking in this draft, it's not final, mind you, and I've been in contact, and as has Kyle, with state folks, and I've been in contact with our state representatives. It's not over, but the way that project and other projects are ranking, quite surprising. Safety doesn't seem to have taken as much of a, congestion is important, but it's not the only thing. I know that this 3.0 prioritization was trying to take politics out of the road business, but it's alarming. So Kyle, I'm going to ask you to take over a little bit and talk about this. It's not over. We're not throwing our hands up in the air, but very, very, very concerned about this project.
Sure. Well, thank you,
in
Chairman,
particular,
and fellow members of the board. Like the Chairman mentioned, we're currently in the SPOT 3.0, which is the strategic funding mechanism and formula that DOT uses to rank and prioritize transportation projects in the state of North Carolina, which includes everything from your highway mode to your bike and ped to your ferries, as well as public transportation and aviation. So there's a lot of competing factors and projects that vie for these public dollars from the state level. This 3.0 prioritization was also matched with the governor's new initiative for strategic funding, which places projects into a local or a division, regional, or a statewide significant pot of money. It's broken down where statewide projects receive 40%, and then it's a trickle-down effect to the region and then to the division. Projects that don't get funded on a statewide level can compete for region dollars and then can be trickled down to compete for division dollars. So some of the statewide significant projects, which are very high dollar projects, are really unable to be funded at a region or division level. What the chairman was mentioning earlier about the Hampstead bypass specifically is that being a statewide significant project but not scoring high enough to be funded. What happens with a project like that is it gets trickled down to the regional level and has to compete with not enough dollars being allocated to fund a project. It becomes impossible to build these facilities. Pender County, just as a background, we really work from the bottom up. We take that approach. We have a cycle in which we solicit for local projects from the citizens so that we can then funnel those to our transportation authorities, which are the RPO and the MPO. We also look at adopted transportation plans that have been before this board, that have been evaluated and have specific recommendations, and we pull projects from those plans as well that get funneled into the RPO and MPO level. A good example of that would be the Bell-Williams intersection over in Curry is an identified intersection that needs improvements, was adopted within our plan, and that then gets funneled to the RPO for prioritization. This year it qualified as something that will be prioritized and hopefully will be funded, but that's just an example of how local projects that might be an issue in certain areas get to the state level to potentially be funded in the future. I could go through the projects. I don't think that we really need to, because as the chairman had said, this is not final, but really just kind of wanted to get feedback from our opinion. It seems that the congestion criteria is really the hampering issue for our projects here in eastern North Carolina, because we might not experience the Beltline type traffic, but it is important for us to plan ahead. And with the congestion criteria being weighed so heavily, it's very hard for us to do so. We'd almost be doing ourselves a favor by not being able to drive anywhere and able to get transportation projects funded. So just wanted to give that information to the board. As you know, staff currently fights for our projects as much as we can, and unfortunately some of those projects don't seem to have the best prognosis if we're talking healthcare. So,
like I said, it's not over by any stretch, but when the matrix came out, it's very, very alarming. And in particular, this project, I think there's been close to $5 million already spent in the right-of-way access already. But and so you would like to think that would mean that this project was significantly down the road.
Sure.
But it is not. I mean, if this holds true, and we hope that it won't, and our state representatives assure us they're fighting for us, then that document's going to go on the shelf.
Sure.
And it might be built 25, 30 years from now. And I think anybody in this room that's ever been on the east side of the county knows that that's not something. I don't want to live there then if there is no bypass. And I love living there.
Yeah, we have a really strong supporter of that. I think it's Senator Bill Raven. I've talked to him several times, and he's going to do all he can to help us. I know you have to, but through the Blueberry Festival, telling me, it's because he's the chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee. So hopefully he can use a lot of help.
Mr. Brown and I have been to Raleigh several occasions to talk to our elected or our representatives, and we'll soon be going back up there again. Not sure if it will be tomorrow, but we'll soon be going back there again.
Sure. Y'all serve on the Cape Fear RPO, the Rural Transportation Committee. It's the same thing about the point system. I think Blueberry Road, that was approved. Which one?
Any other commissioner have any questions or comments right now, or if you think of something later on, please let us know.
I certainly do, Mr. Williams. Kyle, when I was perusing my documents this weekend, I noticed that you mentioned in Wilmington MPO and the Cape Fear RPO prioritization list, as you mentioned. Is there any way, and I'm sure you've sent that to us one time, we've seen the emails, but is there any way we can get that in a document format so we can also have a working document where we can see where these are constantly upgraded to prepare year to year?
Absolutely.
And get some justification on why our prioritization has changed.
Sure. Yeah, that was, we try to keep up to speed with the lists as they come out. When we attended our public comment or public input meeting in Castle Hayne a couple weeks ago, there was a list there that I hadn't even seen. But we will certainly keep the board up to speed, provide updates as to where these projects are falling out. It's still going to be in discussion and kind of moving things around until January, but we'll certainly provide those inputs to the board.
And if there's any more support that we can provide, please let us know. And I certainly stand as one commissioner to provide any much support I can possibly provide.
Sure.
I've been on the east side twice in the last couple of days over this weekend, and certainly I concur. We all see the need for a bypass.
Yeah.
We may be coming back to you for a potential resolution, Mr. Tate. And not sure when, but once we saw the outcome of this rough draft, we felt like we needed to get in front of you folks as soon as we could.
Sure.
Kind of lets the air out of yourselves, don't it?
For a little while, I had a pity party for a couple hours, and then made some phone calls, and I got perked back up again. So.
And as TAC representatives on the MPO and RPO, just, I can't stress enough, if you have anything, just let staff know. We'll take
We're also pushing that rail connector too. It is under study.
Yes.
Might be a long time, but
Yes.
it is under study.
Yes. We've got everything in there.
Certainly giving respect to the chairman and not want to overstep my boundaries as a commissioner, but isn't this a short session year, so the General Assembly will be adjourning hopefully soon. So if we're going to get a resolution, wouldn't we need to move on that pretty expeditiously?
That's a very good point, Mr. Tate.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe next on the agenda is, anybody else have any comments before we move on? Okay.
Yeah, but they won't do any good.
Okay. Comment enough then. We have public comment. Mr. Attorney, do we have any sign-ups for public comment?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Irene Edwards.
Ms. Edwards? For the record, please state your full name and address when you get to the microphone, please.
My name is Irene Silva Edwards. I reside in Rocky Point, Pender County. This is the first time I am here. May I pass these papers out to you, which will facilitate my presentation? I am the executive director of a local nonprofit here in Pender County called El Puente, which means the bridge. And just recently we had a meeting with the County Wellness Committee. And my purpose today is to inform you folks of the different activities that we offer that will help support community wellness in the whole, as a whole. I've given you a little bit of a background of what our mission statement is so that you know a little bit about us. And we made several proposals to the town, and we are making several proposals to the county. Right now we are offering weekly nutrition classes and Zumba. We are also offering yoga classes. And the classes that we're offering are not in conflict with the senior center, and these are offered free of charge. Right now we have an agreement and a contract with the town of Burgaw to use their community center to offer these classes for the community as a whole. We have also made a proposal to the town of Burgaw to begin a farmer's market next spring. Right now, and I know that this has been tried before and it did not go very well, but we're going to try again. We have 6 farmers on board, and we're ready to start that next spring, and we did receive permission from the town of Burgaw to use the railroad depot, but we will have to have further discussions on that. We also want to offer line dancing as another mode of movement in community wellness, and we're hoping that perhaps the county will help us a little bit with that. The next thing would be to work with the Cooperative Extension and the Director of the Cooperative Extension as well as the county, and we're proposing the possibility of using the Cooperative Extension to provide monthly cooking classes to educate people as to how to cook seasonal foods, how to preserve them, and also working with the health department, offer cooking classes for folks who perhaps have diabetes or another chronic disease to educate them as to how to cook healthy. And the line dancing, the community center, we are the first organization to be able to use the community center without charge, and we're very proud of that. We are hoping, however, that the county will help support us in order to promote the line dancing activity as a means for movement, as a means for an entertainment activity for the folks here on the west side of Pender County where there's very little activity. It's wholesome, it's movement, but there is a charge to use the community center, the building itself. And lastly, and very important to me, is I would like to propose to the county and to you commissioners, I would like to propose establishing a multicultural event, a festival here in Pender County in Burgaw, the county seat for Pender County. All of your surrounding counties have festivals. Pender County is the only one that does not have one. I have been working on this for over a year, and I am working with the chair of the person who does the multicultural presentation and stage for the Azalea Festival, and she was also responsible for organizing and implementing the fair in Brunswick County. They will be celebrating their 3rd year in Brunswick County, and she's been working with the New Hanover County Azalea Festival for 10 years. And I realize that there are a lot of things, and we're short on time today, but I wanted to at least make the presentation to see what you folks thought about that and bringing it here to Pender County.
Well, you caught me kind of cold, so it's obviously something I would like to think about before giving you a particular answer. I don't know what any other commissioner might think at this time.
I do have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
What month was you looking at it when I see the Multicultural Festival? What month was you looking at?
I was thinking the fall, because you've got your Spring Fest with your local arts and craft vendors. You've got your Blueberry Festival in June. I was thinking September. And then the person that I'm working with suggested that it coincide with another event. What I would like to propose is doing it at the same time have our Christmas parade. The Christmas parade and the lighting of the Christmas tree is towards the end of the day. My thought would be that if we did a festival during the day, it would certainly bring many people into the town. It would be a boost for the economy and for the businesses, and for the arts and crafts people. It would mean being able to buy local homemade goods as Christmas gifts. So that's where I'm thinking. But in the end, you will be the decision makers on that.
Have you talked with the town of Burgaw?
I'm talking about Burgaw, yes.
I mean, have you talked with the town of Burgaw?
I have talked to the town of Burgaw. They are very much in favor of this, and they suggested that I come and I talk to you folks, and that if you are willing to support, and I realize that there needs to be more discussion, that they will organizational. Just didn't want to take too much of your time tonight. I just wanted to at least get the information out to you so that we could discuss it further. We have lots of time to do that. But it would involve a county insofar as what I documented here, you know, vendors, police, street closures.
Well, I don't think it would involve the county so much. Well, the use of the courthouse might, but the rest of the jurisdiction would be town of Burgos. I mean, so potentially, would the county grant access to use of the courthouse grounds? Yeah, that would be somehow we could support.
Right. Okay.
But the other, the roads and things like that would all fall under the town of
Under the
Burgaw.
town.
Yeah.
But as speaking as one commissioner, I like that deal, and I appreciate for you stepping up, doing something positive for community as a whole. And looking at this, it sounds great to me. And again, that's from one commissioner, but it looks good and looks great. And hopefully that the town of Burgaw, will work with you and everything. Because if you're talking and that's the reason why I asked about the date it will be held and all that, because you don't want to collide with other stuff.
Correct.
Hope it go very well. I mean, it seemed like a positive thing for me as one person.
And I appreciate your comments, and the whole idea of this is to be able to present a positive venue and the diversity in our communities. We are such a diverse community in Pender County, and I would like to showcase that in a positive way by having, if you will.
I agree with Mr. Ward. I think this is a wonderful idea. We have a council on community affairs, and I don't know why they cannot become engaged to help you with this project as well. When we look at neighboring counties and we look at our municipal governments and even special interest groups in the county like the Spot Festival, the Blueberry Festival, there's so many activities going on that's just wonderful. So something to add to that, I think it would be just an opportunity for us to showcase Pender County once again.
And speaking of that, I think it has something like the Jazz Festival, so it's also good to have all these things where people could attend. So that more the merrier. I look at it.
I appreciate you bringing it to us. Just, food for thought, and see what we can do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for your positive comments. I appreciate it.
That's the only sign up we have, Mr. Chairman.
That's all sign up comment according to the attorney, so we will go into the consent agenda, and there are a lot of beginning of the year items on the consent agenda, so I would ask, is there any item in particular that the Commissioner has a question on or might want to pull and vote on separately? Hearing none, we entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I just have one question, if you're ready for questions, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Item number 7, resolution authorizing approval of tax releases and refunds to individuals listed herein. Why are we constantly, it seems like to me, in my opinion, providing periodically refunds to individuals? Is it a listing error, or is it a mistake being made on the part of the county? And why rectify that? This is money that people are paying, and certainly we ought to have the software and tools to make it right. And I don't want people to make a loan to them or use their money and we get an investment off of it and then they get those back. I'm concerned if we're overcharging people, if that's a mistake and an error being made.
I think I know some of it, Mr. Tate, but why don't we let, I would certainly ask our gentleman over there, Mr. Watson, to answer that. Please, if you can, Mr. Watson.
Some of those, Commissioner Tate, if you notice the listing under number 7, they will find out many times, let me say someone in the military, and they'll find out after the fact that they will have been a military person, which they are exempt from paying property tax. Area, and it be listed in the wrong county. So, and you see these probably once a month that Tony sends these to us.
Yeah, I also see the one about the military exempt.
Yes, sir.
But I see a list of probably 100+ names, and I see some that say military exempt. But I'm concerned to see listing errors several times.
Correct.
And in my 8 years here, I've seen that, so I asked that tonight, 8 years later. Why are we still seeing it, and what can we do to rectify it?
Well, I will speak with the tax assessor, Ms. Mezziero, to verify is it a listing of error on the taxpayer's portion or on the county's portion. I've been told before that most of those are listing errors on the respective of the taxpayer. Verified.
Don't we verify the listings that people submit?
I'll reach that to Mr. Mazziero, since he's a tax assessor.
Is the tax assessor, is he in the audience? I don't see him. So was this assumed to be approved, all of these tax corrections without questions, or without someone being at the staff level to answer the questions?
I will be glad to follow with this and get an answer tomorrow to the commissioners if you'd like, sir.
I'll be glad. Ms. Tate, do you want to consider making a motion to maybe pull this item?
No, I want these people to get their money back. We already overcharged them. I want them to get their money back quick as possible. I just want to make sure going forward that we don't overcharge anybody. It's a tough economy. It's hard for people to come and pay their taxes and overcharge them when we have very capable staff. And
Any other items any commissioner would like to address on the consent agenda?
I appreciate that, Mr. Tate, for bringing that to my attention. Thank you.
Hearing none, entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we accept it.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Perhaps we could have Mr. Massiera give us a presentation to explain. I mean, I know what some of these codes are.
Correct.
There's a couple of them that does make me scratch my head, and yeah, we do this periodically. I mean, I know properties can be sold and things can happen, but perhaps a layman's term presentation for myself would help. I know I'd probably benefit from it.
I will speak to him when at the next commissioners meeting, have a general presentation on some of the rules that he follows.
Thank you. Thank you. That is the end of the consent agenda. We have next resolutions. Item 15, authorizing approval of fiscal year 14-15 Cooperative Extension Service Agreement between Pender County and USDA Wildlife Services for the BMAP program. Mr. Watson.
Chairman and Commissioners, this is something we do annually for the beaver management program. It's been in existence over 20 years, and it's just an annual thing where everybody's familiar with the beaver population in Pender County, as well as the beaver dams. And I think we've had a presentation about a year and a half ago from a young lady that actually does that. So this is just an annual service contract with U.S. Wildlife Services.
I remember that. That's when we realized that the politically correct term for killing a nuisance beaver was relocation.
Correct.
Yeah, I remember that. I learned a new political term. So we're blowing them up. No, we're relocating them. So.
I remember when I asked the question, what does relocate mean?
I'll never forget that meeting. That was funny.
I don't think that's the way they describe it in Webster's, is it?
Anybody have any further questions for Mr. Watson or for anyone else regarding item 15? Hearing none, entertain a motion for item 15.
I'll make a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item 16, resolution approving a recruiting contract with Green Resources Incorporated. Ms. Mulholland.
Good evening. Green Resources is an award-winning employment solutions firm with offices in Wilmington, Raleigh, and Charleston, South Carolina. Green has been honored with numerous awards for growth, entrepreneurship, and integrity. Some of the notable awards include Entrepreneur Magazine's 100 Hottest Companies in America, North Carolina Association of Staffing Professionals Sale Marketer of the Year, and Pinnacle Business Award from the Greater Raleigh Chamber of Commerce. Green works with their clients to understand their business, skill requirements, and culture. They then work within set parameters to find the right candidate for the job. Partnering with Green Resources to provide temporary contracted employees would provide cost savings to the county. By utilizing contracted workers, there would be savings in salaries, taxes, benefits, workers' compensation, and local government employee retirement system contributions. A contracted worker with a defined end date would mean no recurring costs for the county. Paid time off and holidays through Green are not billed back to the client. That means they're paid by Green Resources, which would be more cost savings to the county. They provide time be a recruiting firm for Pender County.
Thank you, Ms. Mulholland. Does any commissioner have questions or comments they'd like to address?
Ms. Mulholland, what other contract or listing do we have besides Mr.
There's one department that has a contract with Megaforce. They're out in, starts with a W, Wallace, yes. That's the other company that we have.
So this was the only one that we received was Green Resources based on a contract bidding, or?
Well, I didn't send this out. We just requested that we actually have Green Resources for whenever we need it. We don't need them specifically on a long-term basis. It's an as-needed basis.
And difference preferred, the existing contracts different from the one in Wilmington based on this one? What do we have?
Say that again, I'm sorry, I don't understand.
We are using the one out of Wilmington, correct, right now?
No, we're using the one out of Wallace.
Okay, the one out of Wallace.
Correct.
Compared to the Green Resources, what's the difference as far as
From what I've looked at, the difference is and it's absolutely nothing against Megaforce, however, the difference in cost versus what is paid to the employee.
Wages, rather.
Yes. For example, we pay a certain amount, and a larger percentage it goes back to the contracted employee with Green Resources than it does with Megaforce.
So my vote tonight will probably be different, and it's because I need more clarity on why we have two agencies we're using that I can compare, okay? But I don't want to hinder your board, the board moving forward, or your work in moving forward. But I just need two documents to compare at that time when I'm seeing that we have two. I like for us to be all, if we do this, we all be in the umbrella of one organization. But again, those are my comments, and that's my reason.
I'm glad that that my fellow commissioners asked that, because I want to make sure I understand what's going to decide if you go to Megaforce, or does this mean we're not going to go with Megaforce anymore?
No, we can still use Megaforce. I believe we have one employee that's contracted through Megaforce. However, Green Resources, I've done my research on Green. Green is very thorough in the background checking and the drug testing.
A little competition's a healthy thing.
Do they pay for that?
Yes. Well, we pay for it.
So we're going to pay for the drug testing regardless?
Well, not separate. It's included in the bottom line cost per hour for employee.
Is drug testing not something that's required in any way we hire someone? Whether it's through temporary?
If we're contracting temporary, we would prefer that they be drug tested and background checked. Absolutely.
That's very important today in time, background checks. And they're very thorough at that.
Right.
That's correct.
That's right.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, if I can ask this question,
yes,
so I can get clarification based on what Commissioner Tate said. So we using two agencies. Is that my understanding?
Well, what we would like to do would be to utilize Green Resources out of Wilmington exclusively, if possible. However, we don't want to take the employee that's out underneath of Megaforce currently. Like I said, due to the background and the extensive drug screening that's done through Green Resources. Green Resources also offers a money-back guarantee if we do not like the contracted employee.
Okay. And I'm just trying to get understanding why two versus, going to another one. If we had, so we still, does it cost us anything?
It doesn't cost us any more to use Green Resources. It looks as if we're going to be paying as much as or less than we pay to Megaforce. And the contracted employee will take home more money in their paycheck through Green Resources.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say all the reasons you've given tonight are good reasons for using this organization. It's nice to see the employee get more money from them. The county's protected in the long run, and whenever you're ready, I'm ready to make a motion.
There's no further questions. I'd certainly like to entertain a motion.
I'll make it.
Second it.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor? Opposed?
Ms. Mulholland, can I ask this question? Can you look into seeing possibly if the board concurs that one employee that's still at Megaforce, to shifting them over to this company now since the board has voted? My concern was, why would we have one employee with one separate agency out there if we're trying to consolidate as many services as possible under one group?
I will do that. However, that employee may have been contracted through Wallace because they may be located out near Wallace. I don't know that. I can check into that for sure, though.
I just need a little more facts.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for what you provided.
Item 17, resolution authorizing fiscal year 13-14 budget amendment for Winter Storm 2/11/2014, related costs, purchase orders for Winter Storm 2/11/14 debris management services with DRC Energy Services, LLC. And I'm so glad we didn't have to use them last week.
Yeah.
I think we've got Mr. Collins in the room.
Tom is not here today. I told him myself and his assistant fire marshal would cover this.
Okay.
This is just basically authorizing a budget amendment to the 13-14 budget to pay for the ice storm cleanup and debris management for February. And it was approximately $71,000 to do that, and I think it ended up being approximately 14,648 cubic yards, which was much more than everybody expected up front with all the tree limbs and so forth. Yes, sir.
I know there were two very large piles of mulch at the end of the process.
Yes, it was.
Does any commissioner have questions or comments for Mr. Watson at this time on this item? Hearing motion for item 17.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
I would like for the assistant fire marshal to come up if he's available to kind of give an update on the hurricane that we just went through, since it's obviously we could not put that on the agenda.
Good segue.
Good evening, Manager and Commissioners. Little update. We had one funnel cloud spotted on the east side or the west side of the county by one of our sheriff's deputies, and the beaches actually gained sand on the storm. So, and we deactivated early Friday morning.
Right.
So. I've seen all you gentlemen text that I was going to declare, sign the declaration, and I called both mayors at the beach. Since I was going to items, but I may as well now. And I said, I hate to do this. I said, but if any of the media ask me, I'll make sure and tell them that we're open for business Friday morning. And then they came up, and then right after I said that, then they said, well, no, it might be a Category 2 that comes right up Cape Fear. And then I was able to settle down a few hours after that when it became apparent. So I didn't want to jinx them, but they understood why we had to declare. And I did stop by the EOC, and everybody was rocking and rolling, ready to do the job, and I appreciate them doing that, so I don't have to.
Does that mean we do not have to pay for beach renourishment this year?
Take that up with the beaches.
I don't know. There might be a storm next week to take some away.
We just got lucky.
Tom, we appreciate all y'all did. Y'all did a good job. I went there a couple times, and they were really on top of things out there.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.
We did cover that item correctly. Item 18, resolution authorizing approval of the recruitment of a licensed practical nurse. Ms. Mosier.
I've been here going on 3 years, and hadn't been here but 2 weeks when Irene hit, and then got to experience the EOC last week for Arthur, and now I feel like I've just got this all figured out. I say that tongue in cheek. I do hope that we don't have to deal with another hurricane this year. But that being said, I have a community health assistant position that is open at the health department. And as we looked at our staffing models, the health department really needs to move toward, instead of having community health assistants, to move toward a licensed practical nurse. One of the reasons being just this with emergency management, public health preparedness. The health department and DSS work together to run 4 shelters in the county, one of them being pet friendly, so I have to throw animal shelter in there as well. And we have 8 nurses. So we send 2 nurses to each site if we had to open all 4. And they switch off 12-hour shifts. If I'm down a single nurse, I'm hurting. Community health assistants can't work in shelters, but a licensed practical nurse can. So there's much more flexibility as to what I can use that position for, not only then with shelters, but in the clinic and being able to work up patients and work a little bit more independently than a community health assistant. So after looking at all of our staffing models and trying to figure out where we could make some slight changes that would be beneficial to not just the health department, but then in times of emergency, this is one of the suggestions that we'd like to pursue, is making this position a licensed practical nurse instead of a community health assistant. I don't need any additional funds. I have it. No county dollars are involved with the increase.
So this is already in the budget, enough money for that?
Yes.
Mr. Mosier, what's the, and this is because of my lack of knowledge in the nursing field, what is the credentialing that's required for assistant versus, well, certainly know the diploma nursing program for nursing LPN 1?
Typically, I would say a community assistant may have, 6 months of training, maybe. A licensed practical nurse not only attends and at least a year of training. A lot of community colleges now are they prefer an LPN when they're looking to recruit for RN candidates, because they've had that first year of nursing under their belt. Plus, then they also have to be licensed by the state of North Carolina and take the exams for that licensure.
So as a community health assistant today, are they credentialed at any certificate level?
Just what they come out of technical school or with their diploma, their graduation
but there's not
certificate.
A program, to your knowledge, for community health.
There is a curriculum program in terms of just taking basic vital signs and things that do not require independent judgment.
I was just interested when I saw that. Having worked in community college majority of my life, I've never seen community health classes being offered or so forth, and I was seeing, I'm always looking to see what new classes can be emerged on the horizon. So when I saw that, I was just wondering, is that one that's having been offered?
Now that's interchangeable. I don't know if you offer medical office assistant. I think they can function as a community health assistant. And then you also have the certified nurse assistant that does have a little bit more credentialing, and I think even in the nursing homes they can graduate to being able to dispense a few medications. But
now what will this 2 position be able to do in lieu of the 1?
Give immunizations, do health histories, work the patients up. I have an LPN already that works as a phlebotomist and can draw blood when my lab person's out. They're very versatile. And just prepare the patient for when the physician or nurse practitioner needs to see him, whereas
So the two can provide a greater level of service.
Yes.
Than the one that's credentialed
yes.
at one level.
Plus, they can work in a shelter because you never know, especially with hurricanes. I could have 2 people out on vacation, and we're kind of stuck with.
Well, I think that's a wonderful position to have. And anytime we can increase services to provide for those who need public help, and a greater level of service, that's great. I understand you recently did a tour with your facility with your board as well, and understood that went very well and gave them greater appreciation of the services that are provided there. I like to take it's been years since I've been in the health department too, so I like to take at some point.
I'd love for you to come. Our door's always open. We love to show off.
I'll be glad if Mr. Williams is ready to entertain a motion to make a motion to approve this position.
Anybody, the commissioner, have questions or comments before we move on?
Well, just since I am on the Board of Health,
I'll
would you mind making a second in the motion
I will,
for me?
certainly.
Okay, with that being said, I will make the motion to approve this item.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Moses.
I couldn't have her walking out of here saying I had to have another commissioner to even make the motion.
Does James Bryant offer nursing?
We do. We have a wonderful program, one of the highest passage rates in the region as well, and just send as many people you want that way.
Do you have an LPN program
we
too?
We do. It's outstanding as well.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
All right.
And where does carpool pick up from? Mr. Tate's house at 7:30, 8 o'clock last.
That's right.
I had to take a jab. I couldn't let that one go. Item number 19, resolution authorize renewal of legal advertising contract with the Pender Topsail Post and Voice and authorize a purchase order for fiscal year 2014-15, $14,404. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Pridgeon and or Mr. Watson? And I believe Mr. Pettigrew said he will take questions if you have them.
Are we required to have a printed page, just to be on the printed page, or I know everything's now going to the internet, but I know you want to hear that, but it's got to be a printed page on paper. That's a regular.
Yeah, I think I asked that a while back, and I believe I got that cleared up for me. We still have to have a newspaper.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to knock you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments from commissioners?
Well, just one comment. Miss having Miss Noser around doing this. Usually she's the one that handles this, and when I saw this, it just reminded me of her, and I just miss having her around. Nothing. We appreciate having you here too to take care of this, but every year we could look to Miss Noser to come in and take care of this for us.
Yeah. Well, she knows we love. Linda knows we love her too, but yeah, I miss Miss Noser. Any other questions, comments, item number 19? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion, second by Mr. Tate. All in favor? Thank you. Resolution requesting funding for a capital improvement program by the Pender County Board of Education in an amount not to exceed $75 million for the school system's capital building needs, otherwise known as a school bond. I think we've got some members from Board of Education here. I see Mr. Roper and also see Kenneth here as well. Anybody else? Please come. I should have said Mr. Lanier. I'm sorry. I almost said Tom and Kenneth. Podium is yours, gentlemen.
Gentlemen and Board of Commissioners, we appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. The resolution you have before you, I hope you've had a chance to review it. We can certainly answer any questions you have regarding those projects. It's been a work in progress for us for many, many years, and I know we're under a tight timeline, but there's been a lot of work that's gone to make this happen, and even in the most recent weeks, it's changed. And I'll be glad to read the resolution, but you've had it before you in your packet. I don't want to waste your time. Whatever you prefer, Mr. Chairman, we'll be glad to accommodate.
I've read the resolution, and before if we were going to vote on it, then I probably would read it for the record. or someone up here would. But I have a question, and maybe ask Mr. Jessup to clarify. Is he here? And this is just making sure I understand the timeline. And as it was, I think things were explained to me. You can set a threshold and not exceed a threshold, and you can always go down, but you can't go up. And this is the first in many procedures. So, will you lay it out in layman's terms how this whole process works again for everyone?
Sure. To schedule the referendum, the commissioners need to take action at 3 different points. Tonight is scheduled to be the first one. I've provided you a separate resolution that would be an indication of the board's intent to proceed with an application to the Local Government Commission. That's the first step you have to take. That establishes a maximum amount of bonds that you can put forward on your referendum, which, as we've been talking about, the $75 million part. Then you've got action that's required at 2 other meetings. We've got that scheduled for the 2 different meetings in August. The one is to introduce what's called the bond order, which is another opportunity to adjust the amount. And under the schedule we've been working on, in the mid-August meeting, you would have a public hearing and then take final action on the bond order and to send the question to the voters. So at any point along that way, you can abandon the process, and you can change the amount of bonds. You can never go up without starting the process over again. So the final action is right now scheduled for the mid-August meeting after the public hearing to approve the bond order and to approve a particular question that goes to the voters.
So basically, mid-August would be the time that we pass a point of no return.
That's right.
As far as it being on the November 2014 ballot.
That's right.
And for the record, and I'm asking some questions that I've heard. I know some of the answers too, but I'm asking them for the record because it's based on phone calls and conversations I've had. And so, because I've heard, I want to make sure I'm crystal clear on if we miss this window, so to speak, in November of 2014. I've heard conflicting, and I've seen some legislation, I've heard conflicting things. When is the next opportunity that we know for sure that this could be put on if we miss this November?
That we know for sure is May of 16.
Okay. So a little under 2 years.
That's right, 1.5 years, right.
Okay.
About 15, you couldn't do it in 15?
Well, the question was, what is the time? I can tell you for sure. Right now, when the legislature changed the law about when you could have bond referendum, quote, everybody knew the idea was you could only have a county referendum on a county election date. It is possible to read what the General Assembly actually did as allowing you to have a county bond referendum on a municipal election date. But there's also legislation pending now that the people from the school of government have told somebody is very likely to pass that would clarify that you can only have a county referendum on a date when there is a county election, which in this case means May of 16. Because there's no general county election in 15, unless, of course, the General Assembly were to authorize an exception. But so the best answer is May of 2016.
I was told there wasn't enough time to do that this year for the change in that law, because they've got, what, just a few days left in the legislature?
Well, and if they don't, though, they are likely to pick it back up again. I don't know, but again,
standing here today, the only firm time you can give us is.
I think that to proceed on that November 15 date, even under the existing law, is at least questionable.
Yes, sir, Mr. Tate.
There's been a lot of meetings. There's been a lot of discussion on this item, and I came in here tonight prepared to vote on it so we can go ahead and put it to rest, and so we know where we're at on it. Now, I'm hearing the discussions and the comments are just so I will know, because I haven't been privy to any discussion prior to today. Are we not thinking about going on moving forward this bond at the current date and time? I thought it was going to be on the ballot for November.
I'm just asking questions for my own clarification because my mind was never made up on whether or not I was voting on it for sure. And then since the amount has gone up, I want to make sure I understand options, because one thing that I've been hearing about, a lot's happened in the last month, and the calls I've been getting, I don't think I've had anybody tell me they think we don't need a school bond in this county. It's when, and has the public been part of the process? And I think that, and so that's the question I've had. And so, on the other hand, if we don't do it now, we lose 2 years. I mean, so we're in a lose-lose situation up here as the Board of Commissioners vote on this.
And I also think that if we wait, I've been told that the construction costs would probably exceed by as much as $10 million. Of course, that's an unqualified number, but I have been told with the economy changing, if we wait any longer, it will cause the cost to go up more.
And then that's one thing I was going to cover in mine, is that is also a fact. I mean, it's a lose-lose situation for us, because we're going to make somebody mad regardless. Somebody thinks maybe we're overspending, or if we don't vote on it, then we've missed a huge window. And I can tell you where I am. We're, for lack of a technical term, we're busting at the seams where I am. I would respectfully request, though, that between now and mid-August, that we go on, that if I vote to do this, that we go on a true barnstorming tour, and like we did years ago, and say, folks, this is what we're doing. Because if they don't know what you're doing, then they usually think the worst. That's just human nature.
That's the way you do it.
And I don't know, a caveat, I don't know if people are going to learn better in a K-5 or K-8, okay? And I grossly misjudged the, when you guys presented that at that budget workshop. I said, oh, okay, seems like a pretty good plan to me. It makes economical sense. I guess I misjudged the backlash from that, but I don't want to sit here and be making a vote just based solely on one particular area. What's best for the whole county? And so that's a decision you folks make. That's not a decision we as Board of Commissioners make. So I don't want to wait 2 years on a bond. I think the negatives far outweigh the positives on waiting on a bond.
Mr. Chairman, just a couple comments. Waiting 2 years to put it on the referendum, it's about a year to 18 months before we even start the process because of the architectural design, the DPI approval, and then the bidding process of getting the low and responsible bidder before we can even start. To support what Mr. Tate had said, we're seeing increases over the last 10 years, over 100% cost of these schools. You're right, you're in a lose-lose situation, to be honest with you, either way. But to support that, part of our rollout process is to take every one of these projects, put as much detail that we can provide, and roll it out to every public forum that we can possibly get in front of, including Rotary clubs, Kiwanis clubs, public meetings, whoever will have us there. We'll split out in teams, and we'll make sure that the public truly understands, to the best of our ability, what they're voting for.
Can I interrupt you right
Yes,
there
sir.
just a second? And that's been my concern all along, was the public being informed and being a part of the conversation. And I want to tell you that I was very impressed, and I have a lot of respect for you for doing what you did in the meeting the other night. I was standing in the back when you made your comments about the public should have been more involved in the process. You stood up, you did it, or you put yourself out there. I respect that, and I appreciated you doing that. And I just wanted publicly for you to hear me say that, because I'm not just being critical of things. I think everyone knows me. We've always had a good relationship between the commissioners and the school board since I've been on this board. This year there were some questions put out there, and there was some haste in the decision that had a lot of concerns for us, and the fact that a community comes in here and is upset because they didn't feel they were part of the process. I think you hit the nail on the head when you addressed it the way you did, and you described how you felt. I just want to say I appreciate that, and I respect what you did there.
Well, and I appreciate it, Mr. Brown, and the other board members, and I will mention them as well. They did hold a special meeting to make sure that all this information did come to fruition, respecting the Pender League community's comments. They'd had a lot local public sessions, and they wanted to address the board as a whole. The board was open to do that, and at the meeting that you attended, I thought they did a phenomenal job in expressing their views and their concerns, and
I was very
really believe that was
impressed.
a turning point of making these additions to these to include it as a K-8 school.
And one other thing I want to note, I saw in your resolution that you passed, where you were talking about the commissioners had asked you to go back and take another look at this. I would like to think that the reason we're doing this is because it's the right thing to do, and that the people of Pender Lee, they had a legitimate concern there, and so not to cast stones or take credit or anything, leave the personal aspects out of this and say, I think this is the best path we could have taken, and protect that area, because it's not always about the dollar, although I'm concerned about the dollar, but there are other factors you have to consider in these things. So
I have a request though. Get back down to earth. I'm glad we're having a civil conversation, and I think we all get smarter from all these things we go through. I'd like to think, but I really would. I have to talk to Mr. Simmons, but I really would like to have a meeting up at Topsail High School between now and that August 15 meeting, for let Mr. Ward and my constituents be able to come out, and if people don't want to come out and criticize, they want to come out and learn about it, and I'd have to have some kind of assurance for that we can do that, and just say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, because Mr. Jessup and Butch got to tell people how much it's going to cost. I mean, yeah, they folks are picking up on things, but they need to know what it's going to cost, and I might sound like a broken record here, but yeah, I think better than half of that money is probably going to the east side, but about 70 to 75% of the money to pay for it is coming from the same place that half is going. So we got to remind, we have to get buy-in from everybody in the county. We're all in this thing together, but I would respectfully ask that we have a meeting over there sometime between now and the 15th. I think it's 15th the date, the mid-August meeting, whatever that.
Mr. Chairman, I don't see any reason that we can't accommodate that.
It had to be before that.
And we'll certainly try to make it well before that. And now typically what we've done in the past, and I'm not saying we won't do your request by any stretch of the imagination, is that the Board of Commissioners has approved the bond amount, and then we basically go sell it to the constituents prior to the May 7th or whatever that voting date is. Moving this forward is not a problem for us. We'll take basically the same presentation that we presented to you prior to it with the updated figures, talk about as much detail as we can. We don't have absolute specifics because we won't until we roll these architect components out, but we've got the majority of what the public will need and what the buildings will entail, and what those costs have been identified and the assumptions made in making those figures happen, and there's no reason that we couldn't pull that together by the 15th.
I didn't make it obvious, and I should have stated my reasons for that, for wanting it prior to that date, because prior to that date, according to what the reaction is from my folks, I may not vote to support it on the next vote. I don't think it'll come to that, but like I said, the calls I've been getting are not, we don't see the need for the bricks and the mortar and the operating costs. We know we're growing, and we know we're going to get ready to hit a growth spurt. It might make the last one, who knows, if the economy continues to improve, it might make the last one look like a small growth spurt. And I don't want to sink that. I don't want to sink everybody's. I told Mr. Simmons earlier, I'm sending him one and another one in a few years. So I'm living it every day. I understand that. I just want to make sure that I'm doing all I can, just like Mr. Tate did all he could to get his local constituents information that they wanted. I just like that. I'd like to be able to do that same thing. Sure. If you could help me out in that regard.
And I certainly respect that, and I agree with Mr. Williams. You do all that you can to get your folks educated on something and all as possible. I did get a call and I can understand your reason. I did get a call today from, I think, the Topsail PTO president. I was in a meeting, couldn't talk with her long, but I think she shared some concern about moving forward with it. And I tried to, in my limited knowledge of public education at the elementary and pre-secondary ed levels, tried to explain to her why this was good for us in the county, but did invite her to an opportunity to even sit down with her Superintendent Cobb, who's in, as well as school board members, to get more communication going on it. I think Mr. Brown, I do want to take this opportunity, several folks from Penderley here today. I do want to thank Mr. Brown. He was the commissioner that came out on that Thursday evening, and I didn't have to call him. He came up to support and to learn more information. And I think in his willingness to learn more information, it enlightened his judgment like it did many of us on this decision. This is not an emotional decision. And I often, and because Lord knows in the 8 years I've been on this board, I have been a strong proponent of the beach towns and the east side of the county. I don't think nobody can disagree with that. But I will also say that when I see children, I see children. I don't see children from the east. I don't see children from the west. And I think if we're going to do this, a bond is going to affect the east side. We need to make sure that the west is also adequately funded. Penderley has been in existence since 1938. We all are aware of that. But it's our time to get a fair share of the bond. If we look at the dollars that we, and I don't want to rehash that with these gentlemen, because Tom and Kenneth met me one night for about 4 hours, late in the evening hours. But if there's ever a time to really show that we can be progressive and to really help Penderley School, it is now to be a forward-thinking board for the future. We have seen and we've heard testimony as well as research about how community-based schooling, there is a lot of validity to that. And we certainly know we can see the proven results at Penderley with the emotion taken out of it. We can see the success rate of having it maintained as a community-based school with the addition for the middle school. So I will be glad to help entertain any questions that anyone have as I get more information. And again, anytime you vote on a bond, I'm sure you're not going to have everybody happy about that bond. We have already said there need to be more meetings to be held about this, and I plan to go to some of those meetings. I'm not going to ask you all to hold meetings and then I don't go. East or west, I need to go. As we partner in this effort and this initiative. This is a partnership. The time has come for all of us to take our personal opinion out of it and do what's going to move this county forward with children. And so having said that, I really hope that we can move forward with this bond and this process. I'm a little concerned to know there's 3 more steps to be taken, or Mr. Jessup, that there's, we have to have 2 more votes on this issue. Is that what I'm hearing you say tonight? After this initial one?
Well, you need to have at least 1 more vote. The first August meeting for the introduction of the bond order, you vote to introduce the bond order, but it's not a substantive vote on the amount or the like. But yes, more votes after tonight.
And will that affect our being able to put this on the ballot? I want to be clear on that, so I will understand my vote. Will we still have time, given any pending legislation that might pass, and we know the proposed bill that's out there, will we still have an opportunity to have this added in the ballot in November?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to know. We've heard different stories at different points, so I just want to make sure.
Well, just to clarify, yes, if you follow the previously proposed calendar of this resolution tonight, introduce bond order, first meeting in August, have the public hearing and adopt the bond order, second meeting in August, the 15th, that keeps you on course for a vote in November of 2014.
And I don't want to see this bond become a divisive bond where the East and the West are against the bond at our governmental levels, but I want to see how we can work and understand, because it's going to take all of us to share this bond passage with the folks here at the school board. Nobody's been more critical of you all than I have. And I come to say that I come to partner with you because you can be very critical of me in my role. And so let us try to put those opinions aside as much as possible and hold those community meetings, and let's attend and be there to support. But I'm not voting because I see numbers or who has approached me. I vote because I see a need and I see a product that's working well. And when something's working well, I don't know why we can't enhance it to work even better. And that's my vote on Penderley School. It's working well.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say something.
I want to clarify. I want you to dovetail on what Mr. Tate said. The reason I asked for that meeting is that because I think we need to have it to get the people supported, to start talking it up, to make sure that it does pass. That is my goal. Like I said, I've got a personal, selfish stake in this too. with my children over there. I want it to pass. And I've said that in the meeting we had at Topsail High School. I want it to pass. I know we need a bond. I think we need public. Okay, that's all I want to do. I want it to pass.
Of course.
I did last time I supported it. I'll say it, it's not my job to get too involved in their minutiae, and I'm not trying to do that with asking for that meeting. I just want folks to hear it. Here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. Here's what it's going to cost. That's all I want.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say something.
Yes, sir.
I have a lot of concerns. I have some of my family's in school too, and it's affected all of them. I got nieces, nephews, and I have grandchildren in school coming up. Yes, we need to fund our schools, but I believe in a fair and balanced approach by long-range planning, not spur-of-the-moment planning. And I've known Tom Rick, and nothing against Tom Rick. I really respect him. And also Karen Ransom, know her, and Ms. Cobb, the superintendent. I have respect for all of them. I have a really concern about the county's debt management. How are we going to do this? How it will affect our credit rating and ability to borrow money in the future. Definitely we might have to have a bond issue. I'm not sure right now it's time. There's a lot of people in this county still without work. It's going to put a big, I can tell you what, it's going to put a big major tax on the back of the people in the county. And I know a lot of them, they realize we need a school. We need all these for the schools. But it's going to bring a very heavy tax burden. And a lot of people calling me, it turns out a lot of people that are retired, that they barely, people that are working, they're working paycheck to paycheck, and how much is it going to cost more, it's going to cost them on their taxes. We have to balance this thing out, and I'm proud of Pender County. We're growing and we need the schools, but also we got to do it in a balanced way. And I believe we should have done more in long-range planning for this. And so that's my big concern is how will it affect our debt management, how will it affect our credit rating, ability to borrow money in the future. I know we'll have to do this. I want to see, let's do it in the best way we can, and without affecting the debt management of our county.
Mr. McCoy, I would like to make a comment there. And Mr. Watson can certainly give you all the details because I certainly don't have them, but on a positive limelight, the original bond debts that we incurred back in the early and mid-90s are starting to come off the books now. The Malpas Corner School project, the North and South Topsail School project, and we'll start to see the Burgall renovation projects. Some of those large dollars starting to come off the books as this bond starts to roll out. That is some light at the end of the tunnel. Obviously, these bonds are probably more costly because of the timing of them, but there is some flexibility there that it's not all new bond debt, we hope. But I'm certainly not in a position to guesstimate what the impact will be. Mr. Watson certainly has a handle on that and can give us all the inside track of what the county's options are. As far as a timing perspective of that rolling over, I think that is at least some positive that that is an opportunity to at least supplant that with bond debt that we're already incurring without adding it all to the additional to the tax base.
I appreciate your comments.
Let me ask this question, because let me understand. When I read the resolution, the bond was originally $67 million. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So if we're indebting people to $67 million, adding $8 more million is really not a whole lot. Is that right?
Well, Mr.
If
Tate,
they're already going to be in debt $67 million, $8 more million to help us out at Penderley is not a whole lot.
You're going to have me disagreeing with you before the night's over with, aren't you?
Jimmy, at the end, it's not dependent. I just want to make sure people understand. Okay, I've only had a couple calls about that. I've had as many just say, hey, all of a sudden we hadn't really heard anything, and next thing you know, we got to get
Sure.
done. And that's where I'm coming from. I think it's going to pass. I think the parents are going to show up, but I also know there's people that are going to show up. I just want them to hear the story straight from the horse's mouth. That's all. That is all that I'm asking. I want this to pass.
In the history of in public education in Pender County since we've been on the board for the last 16 years, is that the people have supported public education, and the board of commissioners has supported public education. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to support the cause. The question, this is the largest bond probably ever brought forth in the county, $75 million. Now, that's probably
a lot of
rattles
money.
a little cage, but I think it's important because it will not go down. It will only go up.
That's right.
And we have to, and it's hard to face that, but I think it's important that we do it jointly. We support it together. Whatever we do, the endeavor that we take on this and move forward, just like Mr. Brown said, in the past we have worked very well together, supported education in the past. I think we're turning a curve here again, and I think we may have got off track a little bit with each other, but I feel much more secure now.
Right.
I think we're headed in the right direction, doing the right things, and listening and understanding each other's comments. And we do have to take it out to the public. That's the way you pass a bond.
Yes.
We have to do that, but we have to do it jointly together. We need to team up, whatever way we do it, go out and present this bond, and this is how it will affect our communities, and this is pocketbooks. We're not only board members, we're also taxpayers in this county, so we have a personal look into this also. So it's important that everybody know that, and that is how that works. And sometimes in the past when we had bond referendums and we talked about education in Pender County, it's also important to remember that it said, you know, we had a lot of retirees, and we do have a lot of retirees on fixed incomes. But I'm here to say, if it doesn't change, and in the past, the retirees in Pender County know and support education. They know what it means for the future of them, their grandchildren, and their children in the future, and how important that is. And it's extremely important to remember that. And if we let them understand it exactly like you said, we'll be far better off.
I'll be by your side there. I would just like to request that, because I just don't want something to fester and go on.
Oh, no.
And the Facebook headquarters, and people just like to assume
we
the
do
worst.
have different types of media now that's faster than it used to be.
Don't let somebody else paint your barn. Man lost run for governor, but he wrote a book called that, Fred Smith.
Yeah.
You know, paint your own barn, so to speak. And so that's all. I mean, I'm gonna vote for it tonight. And
75 million is a big number.
Well, and we got to be fair now. Mr. McCoy brought up some good points.
That's
I mean,
correct. That's why I said
I got to tell you, up until I was worried about this, and it was hard for me to give my support to it. But at the same time, not supporting it looks like you're delaying the process, or that who's going to suffer in the end because of it.
We as taxpayers will suffer in the end.
Not just that, the children are going to suffer because of
Right.
it. You know, that's the reason why you have to put your personal feelings aside on this stuff. And I'm glad you said what you did about getting back on track with each other. But at the same time, I agree with the chairman here. I want the public to hear about this, and I want them, because they're the ones who's going to vote on it. All that we're doing up here tonight is a formality. We're not saying we're going to approve it, we're not going to approve it. It's just getting it on the ballot. And that's the first hurdle.
The public will tell us what to do.
The voters are going to tell us whether they're going to accept this or not. That's the reason why it's so important. And you guys, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. And
whatever you decide on to vote on as commissioners, when we leave this room, we need to leave it united.
That's true.
Trying
I agree.
to do what is right.
I think the theme that I heard, particularly out of the Hampstead meeting, although it was not that well attended, it was just a very small group, was the concern for all children in Pender County. I did not hear anywhere in those particular settings that we pay more taxes, we should get more. They were concerned for all children in the county. And I thought that, you know, is a theme that we should carry forward, that it's about every child in the county, and not where you are, where you come from, what color you may be, where your residence is, but it helps and touches, you know, all children. And I thought that was really interesting from someone who had just moved in, who had no clue where the Penderley School even was. But when she started asking questions about it and found out that some of the things related to this bond were for child safety and a better environment for children to have a better learning environment, she said right then, I'll support it. And she had no clue what even Penderley School was or where it was.
Well, she came from a place, I think she said her tax for her school tax was $6,000 a year. So
personally, from her pocketbook. So,
and not only that, even when we're talking about Penderley, and we had meetings at Cape Fear Middle and those schools that affect that area, even those people were concerned about the other people too. Everybody truly is concerned about the true educational effort in this county for all children, and that's a good feeling, really. I mean, to know that there's
I
support.
brought that up because, like I said, I want to head it off at the pass, and that still not be a hot button that's talked about in November. Because if it does fail, we put it on the ballot. Because one thing I had to ask myself, what happens if we put it on the ballot now and it fails?
Well,
And that makes the 16 work even that much harder. Or you have people that say, I'm not going there. You know, a lot of people move here because of the tax rate. They move here because of the schools. The lady that was at the meeting there, and we didn't know, but I know her cousins that have been down here years. They moved here because they liked it. They moved here because of the schools.
And I understand that. I mean,
So,
I really do. I understand the taxing and the pocketbook end of it, you know, for the personal.
Yes, this question, if this fails, I'm saying if, how long is it before you can bring it back up?
16.
Well, as far as a bond goes, but we would regroup as a board and hopefully, I mean, you don't have to always pass a bond to build schools. We would have to get creative with the commissioners to figure out other ways to fund it. So the need never goes away just because the bond window does. But we would obviously have to go forward with some sort of resolution together to try to figure out a way I mean, because the kids are coming. The safety concerns are still there. The ADA issues are still there. They don't go away because we don't vote for 2 years. And so we just need to roll our sleeves up and figure out a way to work us through that process.
When we looked at the population study that we presented you, and you can see the wave is coming, and it's going to be here. If we like it or not,
I hear it in equipment running and clearing lots and seeing it going down the road.
It's going to be here.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Roper brought up a good point. I think that would be something that maybe we could have at these public meetings if Mr. Watson could go back and take a look and see what the debt that's coming off the books, when it's coming off the books, how much that could help offset the cost of this bond. I know what I'm saying is once we get into the payment of the bond, how much we can look at as far as what's that we won't be impacted by this debt that's coming off.
Right.
You know, so.
And another thing I think is important Mr. Watson can work on too is, you know, as this goes along, whatever the tax rate increase would be or whatever it would be for this bond, that it would not happen at just one time. You know, it's a building thing, and it may level off, and growth may take some of that out of it. So it's a big question mark on how this will affect us in our pocket.
We have to give a max and a min. It's a guesstimate at this point, based on the growth. And
if we had to do it and it cost this much versus if it cost this much, and would it be a pizza a month, and equate it to how it would affect a person's pocketbook, you know, to something they can relate to.
I'm willing to entertain a motion if there's no other comments.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to make this motion. Just, sir, Mr. Jessup, do you have something else you need to say?
Yeah, I want to make sure we're making the right, if I may suggest, the motion that would be in order would be the motion to approve the resolution stating an intent to proceed with the referendum for general obligation school bonds.
I read that today. You sent it to us?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I like this. Thank you.
That's the, if I may suggest, Mr. Chairman, that's the resolution that we need.
Does anyone want to take a few more minutes and look at it a second time, or it definitely lays out a lot about what we've talked about, and depending upon growth could affect the tax rate, et cetera.
Nobody's made the motion yet. Nobody's made the motion yet.
But he is our bond attorney, and he says the resolution we passed needs to read this way.
When was this document delivered? Because I didn't read it this weekend.
We didn't have it this weekend. No.
Okay.
Mr. Jessup sent it this morning.
Kind of methodical to get now at this point to read.
No.
With limited legal background and knowledge.
Yeah, Mr. Jessup sent it last week, but we tweaked it end of last week to have some numbers actually put in it.
And Butch might already be planning to say this, but a lot of the work in terms of the effect of the new debt service versus the old service, in conjunction with the other county projects you're also planning, a lot of that's already been done. It's just a matter of how and when you'd like to see that presented.
And if you would like to see a presentation tonight, we've got somebody in the audience that can like to do that. We'll talk about all the projects, including the schools.
Well, all those projects aren't on the agenda for tonight.
That's right.
Correct.
I would like for us to cover this item. And having read over this, I understand, I've dealt with Mr. Jessup for a long time, and I know he knows what we need to make a process move forward. Mr. Chair, I have a comment.
In that resolution, so if there are things.
Mr. Chairman, if you're ready for, if that motion
has.
still stands, I second that motion.
Well,
Can you please hold 1 minute? I need to read this. There is a lot of language. It seems like there's a lot of considerable.
I thought folks might want to take a few minutes.
Yeah, it seems like this gives consideration to the county for a lot of outlets here. Make sure what I'm voting on. In all fairness, since the school board submitted one request to us, have they been given this document to read over as well?
You never seen this?
Mr.
Saw this
Tate, I
today.
did take it out to the superintendent and Mr. Smith at the beginning of the meeting when it was delivered to you as well.
Are you comfortable with this document, Dr. Cobb?
You can take mine.
Well, please let me know when you have read it and you're comfortable with it.
Dr. Cobb, can you come up, or if she has any concern? Is she not coming up?
I'm not sure.
Oh, Dr. Cobb, if you could come if you have any concern or. So once we approve this, it cannot be changed, Mr. Jessup. It cannot be. We need this to go forth to the second one. But once we make that second vote, nothing can be changed or worded different in the language of what is given now. Correct?
Well, the resolution that you're considering tonight is a resolution that's designed to hit several checkpoints that the local government commission staff wants to see in its consideration of your application. This resolution checks two boxes. The statutes contemplate that you'll adopt a resolution giving notice of your intent to make an application. And that's where we set a maximum amount of bonds and the purposes. In this case, school bonds, $75 million. The findings in the lettered paragraphs are designed to hit checkpoints that the staff wants to see. For example, to say that the commissioners believe that this is a reasonable approach to school funding, but that final decisions are made after the public hearing. They also want to see the estimated tax impact, and in keeping with a suggestion originally made by Andy Hedrick years ago, we've also included the estimate of the ongoing operating impact. And those numbers reflect a whole lot of work that Ted Cole and his group from Davenport did in conjunction with Butch about looking at the debt service effects. And again, the fact that you've got other projects you'll probably be borrowing money for over the next several years. And then in the little Roman paragraphs are simply, I hate to say anything I do is routine legal matter, but it's routine legal matter. So the real key here is the item, paragraph 1, we intend to apply the LGC for up to $75 million in school bonds. But you are not locked into what the projects are, how much money, certainly not into any kind of debt schedule or any kind of tax increase. You're not locked into anything until August 15th, when you will be locked into what you're going to put to the voters. And then after that, the matter of when you issue bonds, actually borrow the money, and how you pay for it is a decision you make even later when you're ready to actually borrow money. Present company accepted, a lot of us in this business have worked with school boards who, when the bonds are approved on November 4, call up on November 5th wondering when the money's going in their account. You know, and it's not, these folks understand that, but I mean, there's that process, right? So I hope that's responsive.
Mr. Ward.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Lanier and I have had an opportunity to review this, and we're in support of this resolution, particularly helping the board work together to stage the projects to make sure the tax impact is manageable. And we've done that in the past, and we'll certainly do that.
This helped me change my mind today. Reading this, I appreciate that, because this, until I read this, I had a lot of concerns coming in, and a lot of questions, and this saved me from hitting you all with a bunch of questions tonight. And so this added a lot of clarity to the process for me.
If it helped you change your mind, thank you, I guess.
Let me ask this question. This is not to belabor the point, but when staff get documents like this, particularly on meeting days, if you all can send that out to us as soon as you get it, it helps. And that way I won't have to belabor the time and read over a document and meeting here.
We got a final document. Bob Jessup and Ted Cole and I worked on this Thursday night. And so once I was able to send it, I sent it out today with the numbers actually in the document.
I am glad for my motion to be sustained, and let's go on and move forward with it. If you are accepted again, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, we have a motion from Mr. Tate to approve this latest resolution with the legalese recommended by Mr. Jessup. We have a motion. Have a second from Mr. Ward. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? 4-1. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Item 21, and this is something we've all been talking about a lot, is presentation of a resolution authorizing acceptance of fiscal year 12-13 audit report. I did talk to about 15 minutes before our meeting today, Mr. Thompson got here, and we talked a few minutes, and he's around to answer questions after our regular part of our meeting, commissioners, if any of you want to stop and talk. I don't want to steal the thunder, but if we boil all this down, we need one thing taken care of to finish this audit, and if it happens, the audit can be in everyone's hands that needs it by next Friday. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but I want to.
Friday week.
Friday week, excuse me, not
Yes,
yet, not this Friday, but the next Friday. So I don't want to steal it. I probably stole some thunder, but
That's
I believe
great.
in boiling things out sometime, because the rumor mill's all over. You know, I heard out in the boat this weekend that we were about to shut down today. We can't write checks and things of that nature. So I want to dispel that myth. But there's letters. And we can talk about that later. There's 3 different letters that I gave you before the meeting that I opened yesterday after church. They were dated late June, and I didn't get around to opening to yesterday, but there's copies for all of you folks. Mr. Thompson, I hate to preempt you like that, but I felt like I had to.
No, sir. No problem at all. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. A couple things I do want to cover. Again, these are draft numbers. I want to say it, draft numbers. As the chairman mentioned, I think it's Kavanaugh McDonald or McDonald Kavanaugh. Elizabeth with them does the valuation services for what's known as OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits. It's a actuarial valuation that determines what the future cost of health insurance benefits to retirees will be. That valuation will not be finished until the first of next week, based on what Elizabeth told me again this morning. I called to verify where that when that report would come in. That number affects the financial statements as a whole. It affects any proprietary fund, which is a water sewer fund that has any payroll whatsoever. And on the general fund, it has a significant impact. For instance, it added to expense in the general fund almost $980,000 for the June 30, 2012 year. So you can't finish the audit without that. It's not a cost in terms of actual dollar outlay, but it's an accrual of expenditures. To attempt to explain what the other post-employment benefits is, but if I were to try to say it in layman's terms, it would be if the federal government actually did a balance sheet that actually was balanced, and they put on there what is the future cost of Social Security benefits, and somebody did an actuarial study. They didn't actually pay those benefits that are due in 20 years. They just recorded the expense and recorded a liability for it. That's the best way I can explain that, if I may. But I'm happy to answer any questions and dig as deep as you'd like. Because what they're attempting to do, and it is an estimate, which is why I'm not overly excited about it, but it is a very vital part of the financial statements. Somebody's attempting to determine what the future cost of health benefits are and what the future cost in terms of premiums that the county will owe and what the future cost of our future number of employees will be and what that dollar figure will be. And they've got software and computations and models that have been accepted by the Financial Standards Board, and they give us that number based on their study, and we put that number in your financial statements. Or Butch does, and we verify that. That's the report we're waiting on. If they fulfill their obligation, as they say, then we'll have you all numbers in your hands by next Friday. It appears, based on preliminary, I won't say preliminary, on the draft financials we have prior to that number, that the general fund increased about $3 million. The cash position is up about $3 million as well. And the tax collection percentage is up about 1 percentage point above what it was for the previous year.
And we're gonna talk. We're gonna go into closed session. I think, Mr. Attorney, under personnel.
Yes, sir.
To everybody just wants this done. I see our lady in here from housing, and I've got the letters. Been assured that we get it when he says it's going to get it. The nasties will stop, and a few other. I've talked to someone from the LGC Thursday morning, I guess it was, before I went to the EOC, and they appreciated the call, and I told them that we had 5 commissioners that just wanted this fixed. First and foremost, what steps are being taken to make sure that we're in early this year with our audit, and then we're going to do the autopsy on this thing. So I'm not here to address anybody down in public regarding that at this time, although we're 5 commissioners. I believe we're going to give somebody as big a stick as they need to get it fixed, and that it not happen again. I am disappointed, but you can't kick somebody after they left town. But I was never made aware that it had gotten to this point, or not. I was not made aware until the barn door was too late to close the barn door. The cow was gone, so to speak. And I believe all the commissioners here expressed concern at the last meeting, and may want to today, that this is just some position that we don't want to be put in again. But the county's going to operate, the county's going to function. It's just that we got to get this done. We got some housekeeping to do and make sure that it's done neater next year. That's my feelings on the matter. I do certainly love to hear from anyone else at this time. We don't have to call a special meeting. I'll catch Mr. Tate up when he gets in. I know he's got an important call. We don't have to call a special meeting, for clarification's sake, to have this audit accepted and delivered. We can go ahead and it be delivered to the LGC and us next Friday, right?
Correct. That's accurate, yes, sir.
Do we still have an official vote to do it at some other point in time, though?
Sure you can, anytime you choose to, but it can be delivered to you and the LGC without formal action by the board.
So it can be considered mission accomplished. We still going to get a copy of the audit when it goes out.
Absolutely.
But to save some time and to appease the LGC, it can be sent out next Friday.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, I do have one more concern.
Please share.
Could someone please contact the state treasurer's office and let them know about our status?
I've talked to them today.
What did they say?
I talked to them about what we were planning on doing.
You talked to the lady who sent the letter?
No,
I talked to her Thursday.
They would talk to her Friday.
Yeah, but
Thursday.
And I told her I would call her again after today's meeting.
okay.
I left that out of my long introduction, Mr.
She was okay with it?
Yes.
And I gotta say, out of everybody in this room, I'm probably more frustrated with this because I've known about this for a while, and I got tired of wheels spinning and the two-step shuffle going on and nothing being done about it. And I'm glad that it finally got some attention to it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I spoke with Mr. Thompson this morning, and had also spoken with Mr. Jessup, and had asked if Mr. Thompson could call the Fiscal Management Division at the LGC in advance and go ahead and speak with them. In part, we will need to reschedule a conference call that was set for last Thursday, but obviously the storm intervened and created issues there. And the hope is that if Mr. Thompson can talk with them, that we don't have to have two calls in one. He can handle that one where the financial people aren't necessarily fully apprised on everything that he's been handling with the audit. He wouldn't need to be there on the bond, I mean, you know, going on that, so that we could separate that and get that taken care of. And Mr. Thompson graciously agreed that he could take care of that for us, and so I wanted to let you know that and I think that would be a way to proceed that, again, keeps those items separate, and that way they can talk directly to him with any questions they may have. And obviously, then, once they get the audit, that may trigger some other things, but just in terms of where we are in the process and what's going on.
Mr. Chairman, I need to ask someone in the audience a question.
Please,
you don't mind? Mrs. Moser, what does this do in the scheme of things as far as getting the contractors paid over in the health department? I mean, right now we would have to issue paper checks, is that correct?
Everything for pay will be taken care of. Is already
even for the contractors.
Yes.
Okay.
Everything's taken care of.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Catch you up on all the details in a few minutes if you want to take it.
So have your payment process been held up by this audit, your ability to collect bills?
I think we have some things on hold until the new fiscal year is entered into the computer.
Right.
Anything that needed to be paid out of the old fiscal year, we can still process.
So,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No good.
Okay, and I'm not meaning to go off on it, okay? But I work in, I say it every time, government myself, every day. I thought that the end of the fiscal year closed June 30th for us. Have the books been closed now for the county?
You, for fiscal year
So it's
13.
haven't been closed. You shaking your head no.
How have we not closed our books and it's in July?
Well, you have a period of 13 where you do your adjusting entries and accruals that come in and so forth.
I thought all the bills had to be paid by June 30th, and we go through our final audit checks, and then your office would do all our closeout by the end of June 30th. Finance would do the closeout.
Yes, but you have a period 13 where you actually do accruals, like for sales tax revenues and so forth.
Have this happened before that we have that extended period of 13, what you're saying?
No, you always have a period 13.
This is the first time we're using it, or this is
No,
the first time?
you do it each year. Yeah.
So and I didn't mean to interrupt about why it's on my mind, Mr. Tate.
No, you did, but it's okay.
Paper checks, did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, I didn't get a clear answer. All I heard was they're getting paid. I mean,
yeah. And I don't, trying to stay cool. And nobody's not giving me an answer, and everybody looking, but I just asked a simple question, everybody. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know nothing about finance, but I would learn it real quick to figure out this problem.
I'm not a member of the finance staff, but I talked to the payroll personnel
Right.
today.
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that everything they had was functioning properly, that they got everything closed correctly, that they were not going to have to hold up anybody's payroll, they were not going to have to hold up anybody's accounts payable, that everything would function as normal. We had that conversation today to make sure that everything was good.
Recap me again for the supposed hold up on this here.
As you gentlemen were asking, what, have the books been closed for fiscal year June 30, 2013?
I want to know for the last 2 years, have the books been closed by June 30th?
If you will, let me explain, and I'll promise you I'll answer that question properly.
Certainly.
When we say closed for June 30, 2013, Mr. Watson is accurate in the fact that there is a fund or a period 13 where, say, June 30 just happened for 6/30/2014. What happens at that point is you get invoices in July that were for services or goods for the year prior to June, or for the period prior to June 30. So they're actually an expense that was incurred prior to June 30 that will be paid in July. Those expenses are accrued and recorded as an expense in June 30th, even though they're paid in July. And you know how that works. The same thing is true on sales tax, as Mr. Watson indicated. The sales tax are collected by the state or by whatever business, remitted to the state, and then subsequently remitted to the county. Those amounts are accrued as a revenue to the county as well, even though they're received after June 30th. So this period 13 that Mr. Watson is talking about is for that specific purpose. So like the county receives its sales tax if somewhere around September 15th for a period that's prior to June 30th. That would be recorded in that period 13, if you will. If the county gets any invoices in the month of July that are prior to June 30th, those are recorded in that period prior to June 30th. They're just recorded in the period 13 as an accrued expense. They should impact the budget. They should have been encumbered, purchase ordered, etc. So you should have anticipated all of those expenses. The question is, was the period closed? The period, so somewhere after these items have been recorded, July through September, October.
2013, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
That period 13, all the journal entries should have been made, etc., and that time period should be closed out. We should have been in doing our audit work, etc., and closed things out.
So you're saying we closed the year out, fiscal year. I'm just trying to piggyback on these questions you guys have answered to make sure I got it. We closed out end of June 13. We should have expected to be done by October 13, just like we just closed out June 14. We're saying we should have be closed out and everything done by October 14. But instead, things have happened that better not ever happen again. That instead of October, here we are in July.
That's accurate.
We're 9 months.
And your question was?
Because I'm hearing you saying supposed to be closed, which I'm hearing that if it's supposed, it wasn't closed.
That's accurate.
From 2013.
That's correct.
Because of some items that wasn't in place, pretty much.
That's correct, yes, sir.
So now that brings us to 2014.
Yes, sir.
And therefore, with 2013 not closed, that leave us with another open book, things not in place for 2014.
That's right.
I told you I figured it out.
You got it.
So things have been fixed and folks are trained to do particular things or whatever. We should expect to have not only by next Friday our audit delivered for the 12-13 year, but our audit delivered for the 13-14 year should be done by October.
The audit for 12/13 will be complete as soon as I get that data.
That outside, though, you're waiting on one thing, Mr. Tate. I know you had to take the call, but he's waiting on one thing from somebody else. But that's not that somebody else's fault that we're to this point. I'm not trying to say that, but it's
Let me ask you.
all gotten down to waiting on one item.
How, waiting on one item?
At this point now, not the whole time.
Okay, once that is established as due to audit, because I remember seeing your face come in and you give us a report. Who then notify us as a fire commissioner or whoever when it's not closed? Why now, or was this given to us before? Notification.
Yes, sir. Here's the way that...
You would notify us, right?
That's right.
Okay,
Here's what happened. If you recall...
Manager should have notified us, but he didn't.
June 30th, 2012, we had our audit report. And up until then, we were on target, et cetera. Somewhere in the November, December range, we were presenting an audit to you as a Board of Commissioners. The June 30, 2012 audit was issued, I don't remember the presentation date, but the report is dated somewhere around March 20th. And I can look it up. I got it here in my package. But in that, there's findings saying this is what's going on, this is where you are, etc. That's what you expect from me to say, hey, here's your audit report, and to kind of step back for just a minute. The financial statements that I give to you, even though I'm the opinion part of those that's in that financial statement, that's my job. The financial statements themselves are the county's. They're not the auditors. The auditor can't, especially with all the new independence rules, the auditor can't do but so much of that. I can bob and weave and move to try and help as much as I can, but I got to be independent because I'm going to issue an independent report stating these financial statements are materially correct. The county has to prepare those statements, and the financial statements belong to the county. So I'm coming in to look at a set of financial statements that are as close to being closed as they can be without the button pushed to say, hey, they're closed.
Now there you go. You just said a lot right there for me. And you said it nicely. But you just said a whole lot. Whether popular or not, you just said a lot. That was a lot. That was a lot. This is 2 years I'm hearing about audit reports, okay? 2 years. If they were closed in 10/11 on time, I can understand bringing someone back 1 year to help us, and we all got the email from the individual that came back to help us before. But reconciling bank statements should not take this long. Not in this process. Now, again, I'm a humanities guy, not a banking guy or a business major. But I would think it would not take that long. Here we are in July. To tell me bank statement hadn't been reconciled. What I know in some organizations, folks came in and worked on weekends to make sure they had to do year-end closeout by June 30th. I just have a problem. It's just like with the tax listing earlier, and I'm not getting off on a tangent here. But when you in some organizations and things have to be followed by a deadline a date, I can't sit on a board and we relax things because the taxpayers are just as important in Pender County. And I'm not politicking, you know, I'm not running for election or anything like that. But they're just as important as any other job I hold.
Absolutely.
And I hear a department chair who's sharing with me possibly we're holding them up in the process. That's more work on them when they're trying to move on with a lot of more innovative projects they introduced tonight.
Yes, sir.
But again, you revealed a lot in what you just said. Thank you. That's all for me.
Can I ask this question?
Yes, sir.
With your staff working with us, trying to, before pushing that button, have we been cooperative getting you that information?
Cooperative is, yes, sir. Everybody's extremely nice. The issue is
not getting the material in a timely manner.
There's an article say nice guys don't necessarily, I mean, I read an article on that in leadership recently. But being cooperative is not the issue, I don't think.
No, so yeah.
That's accurate.
I'm not going to say anything else on it.
Well,
I'm
I was
finished.
going to tell you, when you stepped outside, I had also mentioned and confirmed with the attorney that we're going into closed session under personnel to address this matter first as well.
Will he be in closed session with us?
I believe he can be.
Yes, sir.
Don't disappear.
I had already asked that question this afternoon, so. As I said, as I told lady from the LGC Thursday morning, this is going to be fixed and it's not going to happen again.
Positively got to happen.
And then we'll have the autopsy. If there are no further questions, or if there are, we certainly please ask them. If not, we'll go into appointments and then items from the county manager, county attorney, county manager, and then county commissioners, and go into closed session. And then we may have to come in after these public hearings this evening. We may have to go back into closed session. So, anything else you wanted to ask right now?
You said we might have to come out of closed session when we do the 7 o'clock meeting.
I don't know. It depends on how long we're in closed session and the meetings are in.
Because I don't want to hold this gentleman up. I don't know what time of you.
I'll be here.
I meant the other stuff after this.
Yeah.
Okay. He said he would wait around for this closed session. Yeah.
I'll be here.
Ms. Pridgeon, we have appointments. Item number 22.
Yes, Ms. Dot Spencer has served 1 year on the Social Services Advisory Board. Her term has expired and she wishes to be reappointed. And Mr. Douglas Johnson is applying for the first time for a 3-year term on the Social Services Advisory Board. These positions have been advertised, and these are the only 2 applicants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Tate, do you want?
Now, I was just going to say Doug is a good guy. He will be replacing my brother on that board if the board is inclined to do that. I do know Doug. He's very active in the Willett community there. And was a counselor in Pender High, and I think for one of the services, and worked in mental health for many years.
Would you like to make the motion?
Certainly. I'll make a motion.
You want to just make the motion for both while you're at?
I'll appoint Ms. Spencer. I'll make a motion to appoint Ms. Spencer as well as offer to Mr. Johnson to be appointed.
And I'll second.
Motion and a second for both appointments. All in favor? Thank you. Mr. Attorney.
Mr. Chairman, in light of the time, I would ask that at the appropriate point we go into closed session under items 3 and 6 for attorney-client and personnel.
Anything else?
No, sir, not this time.
Mr. Tate?
No comment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. If I go back a minute to the school board vote, this is my time. I did vote against that bond issue, not because I'm against the schools. My biggest concern is the county's debt management and how it will affect our credit rating, ability to borrow money in the future. So that's what it's about, not about, to me, it's the timing of the school budget, not, I thought this has happened too quick, too fast, and a lot of answers not answered. So I do support the schools. I want that to be in public and everybody know that. So that's my big concern was the debt management.
Yes, sir. Anything else, Mr. McCoy?
And that's it. I do want to say I want to thank all the county employees for everything they did during the hurricane. I went over there and the sheriff department and the EMS department, the whole county employees, and they did a lot over there. We were just fortunate that we dodged a bullet.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Mr. Ward? Mr. Brown? Here again, I'm going to be quick, and we'll go into closed session down the hall, I guess. We were kept informed by staff and trying to keep the board informed as well. I think I sent some brief text to you and some emails what was going on. We got lucky. Tom did a really good job of Tom and Tommy real good job keeping us informed, and Trish with the press releases. And, you know, hey, we'll probably find something we can do better, but I just wanted to focus on, I think the folks did their job well. So that's all I've got to add right now. Would entertain a motion to go in closed session under the 2 items. And we'll request that we take it down the hall, please.
I'll be
Mr.
glad to
Chairman.
make a motion that we go into closed session items 3 and 6. Is that right, council?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Tate. Motion and a second. All in favor? Thank you. Hey, hey, please bring that to the